Oh man, I'm still worn out because I just woke up a bit ago. But anyways, it's now time for my Week 5 picks of the 2017 NFL season. And last week, did a little bit better, 9-7, but not a good season so far for me. I believe went 8-7 week 1, then 10-6, then 7-9, now 9-7. And I noticed it's not me too. Jeff over at Schleg Day, who usually does pretty good making picks, and my boy Matthew's also struggling too, so it seems everyone's struggling this year to make picks since it's like inconsistent. You can't predict at all really who's going to win. And then here's the playoff stands right now. It still remains the NFC, the Chiefs and Bills with the byes, and the Raiders going to the Steelers, and the Broncos going to the Jaguars. And the NFC, it's the Falcons and Eagles with the byes, with the Panthers going to the Lions, and the Packers going to the Rams. And as my picks for Super Bowl right now, last 2 weeks I think I had the Chiefs beating the Falcons. Now I have the Chiefs beating the Eagles at the moment. So now let's get to my Week 5 picks. And we start off with the Thursday night game, and that's the Patriots going to the Buccaneers for the first time since 2009. And remember, that was in London when they last met in Tampa. The last time Patriots actually went to Tampa was 1997, for crying out loud. And the Buccaneers haven't beaten the Patriots since 2000. And of course, this game I had to go back and forth on. And I think I had the Buccaneers win at the in my predictions at the beginning of the season. But even though the Patriots have the second worst defense in the league, I'm starting to really lose trust in Jameis Winston. He's somewhat regressed this year. He's like inconsistent stuff. And I trust him a lot less than I trust the Patriots defense. So although I won't be surprised if the Buccaneers win, I think I'm going to pick the Patriots for this one. Alright, then we get to the 1 p.m. games. In the first one, it doesn't look really good at first record-wise, but it could be interesting now that they've recovered somewhat. And that's the Bills going to the Bengals for the second year in a row. As the Bengals, they've definitely looked a lot better now that they've changed offensive coordinator. They almost beat the Packers, and then they destroyed the Browns, and Andy Dalton has thrown 6 touchdowns, I think, in the last 2 weeks now, so he's doing a lot better. And the Bills, they have the number 1 defense at the moment, too, so that's going to be a very tough challenge for the Bengals, too, especially since the Bills did beat the Bengals last year in a surprise fashion, because I think I had the Bengals in that one, too. And, of course, the Bills' offense is still kind of inconsistent, and maybe the Bengals' defense might finally start to get turned around, too. So, boy, this is going to be a difficult one to pick. Do I take the Bills, who seem to finally get the season turned around at the moment, although they historically last like decade or so have always had hot starts and then crap out at the end, or do I go with the Bengals, who probably are finally starting to turn around a bit to maybe salvage the season? I think I won't be surprised if the Bills somehow get it, but I think I'm gonna pick the Bengals for this one. And then it's the Jets going to the Browns for the second year in a row, as the Browns try to avoid 0-5 for the second year in a row. As, man, that offense, Deshaun Kaiser's like collapsed. He's the worst QB at the moment in the league. Well, that's more of an indicator of how bad the Browns completely themselves are than necessarily him yet. But hey, if they crap out, they have a number. Maybe they have top 5 pick, and I think the draft class for QB is gonna be really good this year. So maybe that's good for them. And the Jets, so much for tanking. Now they're 2-2. They're doing pretty. I don't know. I can't say really good because, I mean, the Dolphins and Jaguars, whoop-de-doo. That's some easy teams to beat. But, hey, 2-2, not bad start for the moment. And, of course, if I remember correctly, the Jets did beat the Browns last year. But I think it was, like, right down to the wire, too. So, man, it's kind of difficult to predict. I mean, the Jets won 2 in a row, and they looked okay, at least. And they got to go to the Browns, who definitely aren't looking good and stuff. Oh, boy, this is going to be a difficult pick. But I don't really think I could see the Jets going 3-2 when they're still pretty bad. So I think I'm going to pick the Browns for this one to finally get their first win of the year. And then we get to probably the best matchup of the week in terms of the record. And that's the Panthers going to the Lions for the first time since 2011. Oh my God, remember that game where Panthers led like 35-17 at one point? And then the Lions surged to come back like 49-35 or something like that. As the Lions had a hard-fought defensive battle against the Vikings last week. I was quite impressed. Even though they hold Stafford down, they still managed to get the win. And the Panthers, wow, they actually beat the Patriots, and Cam Newton had an incredible game. Like his best game in a long time, too, so he's been struggling since, like, after that Super Bowl loss. And of course, Cam, keep your damn mouth shut so you don't have to worry about the stupid shit you say probably sometimes. But anyways, this is going to be maybe kind of difficult to pick because the Panthers are inconsistent. Although that was still a impressive victory against the Patriots itself, although they have one of the worst defense in the league. The Lions are still, so far this year, the Lions are playing consistent. 3-1. Their only loss was a very close one to the Falcons that went right down to the wire. So I guess I won't be surprised if the Panthers get, but I think I'm going to get the Lions for this one. And then it's the 49ers going to the Colts for the first time since 2009, as the 49ers are trying desperately to avoid 0-5 for the first time since 2010. And while the 49ers held on there with the Cardinals, they could almost had a shot to beat them in the end. They went to overtime and stuff. So it's funny how the 49ers are 0-4. They got destroyed by the Panthers, but if you think about it, other than that, their games have been really close. Lost to the Seahawks by, I think it was 3. Lost to the Rams by 2. And they lost to the Cardinals in overtime. So if some things went right for them, they could have been possibly 3-1 at the moment. So they're playing pretty competitive at the moment. And of course, the Colts, wow, they actually had a shot at halftime. They were putting up against the Seahawks pretty well, but then they collapsed in the end. But of course, I think the Colts are going to probably get this one, but I won't be surprised if the 49ers somehow get it. And then it's the Titans going to the Dolphins for, I believe, the second year in a row. I know they played last year, but I think it was in Miami, yeah. As the Dolphins now lost 2 in a row, and who did they play last week? I can't fucking remember, but hey, they lost 2 in a row now. Oh, that's right, they lost to the Saints. They got shut out in London, that's right. And man, that supposedly good offense only scored 6 points those 2 games. Shows how much you should not have taken Jay Cutler. And the Titans, ugh, that terrible 57-14 loss against the Texans. I predicted you're going to lose, but holy shit, I didn't think you're going to lose by that much. But hey, they're still 2-2 in the moment. I think, and based upon their record, I think I probably predicted them to beat this record in my season predictions video. So they're not that far off, and they're still in the tie with the Jaguars and Texans. So I mean, it's not over with yet. And Marcus Mariota, unfortunately for them, has struggled this season. Oh, and he got injured last week, so who knows if he's going to be playing this week. I think that might come down to if he plays or not. So I might have to make another prediction video since I'm not sure if he's going to be playing or not. So if Mariota does play, I think the Titans will get this one. But if he doesn't, and Matt Castle, of course, can't really trust him much either. Maybe the Dolphins will get that. So that's probably going to be my picks, depending on if Mariota plays or not. If he does play, Titans will get it, but if he doesn't, Dolphins will get it. And then we get to the battle of the winless teams, as it's the Chargers going to the Giants for the first time since 2009, as the Chargers are trying to avoid 0-5 for the first time since 2003, and the Giants are trying to avoid 0-5 for the first time since 2013. There are 4 teams, I believe, 4 teams that are winless still. And man, the Chargers got so lucky to start off the year with a 3-game streak, and they lost all 3 of them. Oh boy! But then again, they were competitive every game except for the Chiefs game. But of course, like it shows, they're inconsistent as hell, and you cannot trust them. And the Giants, they played a lot better these last 2 weeks, but they just can't. Their defense just keeps blowing it. They blew it against the Eagles, and they blew it against the Buccaneers, where they actually had a shot to win it. But this time they're at home, and I definitely don't trust the Chargers at all. So I think the Giants will finally get their first win of the season. And then it's the Cardinals going to the Eagles for the first time since 2015, as the Eagles haven't beaten the Cardinals since 2008. And wow, the Cardinals. I thought this year they were going to bounce back and maybe be a playoff team. Looks like Jeff was right in that they were going to probably regress too, because man, 2-2. Both their wins, let's see, they beat the 49ers in overtime last week. That definitely wasn't good. Oh, and they beat the Colts in overtime too, so yeah, that's not good when you win your 2 games in overtime against 2 terrible teams as well. So they're definitely struggling. The only saving grace is probably that defense. And the Eagles, that was a very impressive performance against the Chargers, and they're 3-1, and they look like, other than maybe the Redskins, who look like they finally turned around at the moment, even though they're 2-2. Looks like the Eagles, with the Giants struggling, still winless at the moment, and the Cowboys struggling too. Looks like it's going to be the Eagles' division for the win at the moment, and I think the Eagles will probably destroy the Cardinals on Sunday. And then it's the Jaguars going to the Steelers for the first time since 2011, as the matchup between two division-leading teams at the moment. And the Jaguars, they blew it against the Jets. They had a shot. They should have made... I was about to say they should have tied, but the Jets went down to get, so they couldn't really control that. But, of course, Blake Bortles inconsistent so far this season. Terrible against the... well, not terrible, but just okay against the Texans. Terrible against the Titans. Dominant against the Ravens. And just okay against the Jets. And, of course, the Steelers, they definitely looked really good last week against the Ravens. And you all saw Antonio Brown's meltdown. That was really unexpected. That's, like, way out of character from him. I expect Odell Beckham to do shit like that. Not, Antonio Brown. But the Steelers are the much better team. And, of course, you gotta remember, the Steelers are inconsistent when they play terrible teams. So, look out. This might be a chance for the Jaguars to get it, too. Especially since they've won one and they lost one. And since they lost one last week, maybe they'll keep the streak going and win this one. So, Steelers fans, you gotta keep that in mind, too. That the Jaguars might pull it off. So, you can't underestimate them. But I still think the Steelers will get this. And then we get to the 4 p.m. game, starting off with... surprisingly, a very important one with the NFC West on the line as the Seahawks go to the Rams. And the Seahawks, Russell Wilson didn't look so good last week, although they dominated the Colts last week. And the Rams, what an unbelievable performance they had against the Cowboys last week. It actually pulled off, too. I didn't think that was going to happen at all. And I think it was Mike Tirico that said on their first night game against the 49ers, call them the greatest show on surf. Looks like that's the case now, because this team's like completely flipped around, where last year, remember, they had like one of the worst offenses and their defense was still solid. Now it looks like they have one of the better offenses in the league, but no defense too. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Raiders too. And of course, the Seahawks have not beaten the Rams in St. Louis or LA since 2013. That went right down to the wire too. And since 2011, I believe, actually since 2010, they've only won 2 times at the Rams. And of course, I know Jeff Fisher's gone. That's when he went 4-1 against the Seahawks at home, whereas the last coach, Steve Spagnuolo, went 1-2. And of course, that was one year with Pete Carroll coming in too. So, I mean, the Rams, I know it's Jeff Fisher, so maybe that had something more to do with it, but I still think the Rams might be able to keep it up. And of course, they're looking much better right now. The only problem is that defense, will they be able to hold Russell Wilson down, stuff like that. And of course, will Russell Wilson stop screwing up a lot? So I think the Rams might actually pull it off. And with the Cardinals and Seahawks loss, I predict they'll have, I think it was a 3-game lead in the NFC West, which will be very impressive for them. And then it's the Ravens going to the Raiders for the first time since 2015 as they make their 3rd game in a row against them. By the way, the Raiders are going to the Ravens next year. I already know that by the schedule rotation if you don't want to know about that. And the Ravens, after that dominant 2-0 start, now it's starting to look like what I expected. More like, hey, they just went up against the Browns and the Bengals, who were still shitty at the time, as they got destroyed by the Jaguars and they got spanked by the Steelers, although they were competitive until the 4th quarter in the end. And the Raiders, 2-2. I mean, yeah, I did expect that, I think, so it's not really surprising. And they almost could have pulled off against the Broncos if they had Derek Carr, who's going to be out in like the next 2 to 6 weeks. Maybe they could have probably pulled it off, too, and be in a much better position at the moment. But, hey, the Ravens are struggling. That's quite obvious. Right, and the Raiders, we saw, since I was forced to watch Raiders at Broncos surprisingly last week, E.J. Manuel looked okay until he threw that pick in the end, so I definitely trust the Raiders more than I do the Ravens, so I think the Raiders will get this one. And then it's the Packers going to the Cowboys for the first time since 2013, and a matchup of the division showdown last year, and wow, what a difference this first 4 games look so far. Packers, after that tough loss against the Falcons, and a quite embarrassing win against the Bengals to allow them to go into overtime, they destroyed the Bears, so they're doing okay right now, 3-1, and it doesn't seem to be like really too concerning signs at the moment. And the Cowboys, beat the Giants, then you go and lose to the Broncos in the way you did, then you beat the Cardinals, and then you lost to the Rams at home? What the hell is up with that? That's ridiculous. The Cowboys are struggling big time in this one. And I predicted that the Cowboys were going to get their revenge from last year's division loss and probably get this one. But the way they're playing right now, I think it's going to be the Packers this time around. And maybe that win in Lambeau last year was probably just a fluke. And then we get to the Sunday night game, which is a game, like I said, all season. I did not understand why they would pick this. But now that the Texans seem to finally got an offense going, maybe it'll be interesting. And that's the Chiefs going to the Texans for the third year in a row, as the Chiefs try to remain undefeated and go 5-0 for the first time since 2013, as they're the final undefeated team. And the Chiefs, the Redskins almost pulled it off against you. Now, of course, I'm not sure if to say that maybe a slow start, because that's what a lot of teams, that's what the Chiefs have been kind of doing so far this season. That's also another sign, too, when teams are undefeated. They usually struggle the next couple games before they finally get their first loss. Or maybe that was just the Redskins doing so much better at that Eagles win. But the Texans, what a dominant performance against the Titans. Deshaun Watson has gotten better and better each week. It's ridiculous. As that Texans team, although it's really too early to say, because 2 games, although it's too impressive, 2 games, we scored 30 plus points. In the next game, we scored over 50 points. Probably your best offensive performance in years. It's still kind of probably too early to say for sure, because now you got to go against probably a real good defense as well, because the Patriots have one of the worst defenses in the league. Titans defense, just okay for right now. And of course, the Texans, remember, because this is the fourth time they're going to play each other since 2015, remember. They played each other the first week of 2015, and the Texans destroyed them. And then they played in the wild card round 2015, and the Texans destroyed them even more. But then last year, where I thought the Chiefs were going to destroy them, the Texans actually beat them in a defensive holdout, and that was with fucking Brock Osweiler as a starter, for crying out loud. So if Deshaun Watson can play like that, maybe the Texans might be able to pull it off. That would be quite impressive. And of course, with the Jaguars, I predict lose to the Steelers, and the Titans, it's unknown how I predict that's going to go, since I don't know about Marcus Mariota yet. The Texans, I think, will win and take the lead in the AFC South again. Then we get to the Monday night game, which is don't understand all why they picked this, as it's the Vikings going to the Bears for the second year in a row. They're on Monday night too, as the Vikings, man, they're inconsistent too, that offense. Everyone's surprised, Case Keenum's gonna have an incredible game. Remember how terrible he was with the Rams last year? That win against the Buccaneers was just a fluke, and I knew it. But I thought they were still gonna beat the Lions in the end, and of course, they couldn't do it. And, oh man, losing Dalvin Cook, that's gonna really, really hurt them. And the Bears, they lost to the Packers the way they did. Why are you surprised? Why would anyone be surprised? I predicted it. That's how it always is when the Bears go to the Packers and stuff. I'm sure a lot of you would probably pick the Vikings to win this one, since they're definitely a much better team than the Bears. But remember, I think we all picked the Vikings last year's Monday night game when they had that 5-1 record when they went there. And of course, remember, the Bears embarrassed them on that Monday night game. And I don't know if they're going to outright embarrass them, but I definitely don't trust the Vikings at the moment, since this seems to be struggling too. Not to mention, this is going to be their second game on the road, and of course we saw they got spanked by the Steelers. So I think I won't be surprised if the Vikings win, but I think the Bears are going to get this one. So that's my picks for Week 5. I can't wait for Patriots at Buccaneers tonight, and I can't wait for all Week 5, and hopefully I can have my best week of the season, since 10-6 is not really my best performance at all to have as your best record. So tune in then too for next week for Week 6. And also, a shameless promotion, I run 2 online football leagues on YouTube, and that's called PFA and UFL, as UFL is going to have its final week of the season very soon, and later on today I'm going to start simulating Week 5 of PFA. So don't forget to check them out too, because I put a lot of work into both.